I never would have imagined that every dragon in front of me was insanely strong, yet all they did was eat or sleep. They were too lazy to even move. And what made it even more ridiculous was that even if they stayed this lazy every day, tomorrow they'd still be stronger than today. That's because these weren't ordinary dragons. They were ancestral dragons with the purest bloodline. Since ancestral dragons are born as the perfect life form, naturally, every ancestral dragon lives by one ultimate belief: laziness. If you're born insanely powerful, then why bother moving at all? And somehow I got reincarnated as an ancestral dragon egg. I thought since ancestral dragons were so powerful, I'd hatch into a dragon right away and rule the world. But then I was told that every newborn ancestral dragon must follow the 4 iron laws of ancestral Dragon Island. The problem was, each law was more ridiculous than the last. And while I was still an egg, the Dragon King told me everything. The following 4 iron laws must be remembered by all ancestral dragons. First, you must never start training on your own. Training is an extremely childish act. Second, you must never feel jealous of others. Jealousy is poison that corrodes the dragon race. Third, you must never hold fantasies about the future. Fantasy damages a dragon's dignity. And finally, you must never contact lower races. Contact will lead to your own downfall. These 4 iron laws must be obeyed by every ancestral dragon. If any dragon dares to break even one of them, something absolutely terrifying will happen. At first, I didn't think much of it. I actually thought it sounded great. After all, in my past life, I was a 40-year-old workhorse, living the 996 grind every single day. I had elderly parents above me, kids below me, and a mortgage in the middle. I didn't dare take even one day off. Terrified my boss might fire me for underperforming, but now I could rest openly and proudly. That sounded unbelievably amazing. But as time went on, I realized I was wrong. Since I reincarnated into this other world, 15 years had passed. For those 15 years, all I did every day was eat and sleep. There was no entertainment at all. It was painfully boring. On the other hand, for those same 15 years, even though I hadn't done a thing, the magic inside my body kept growing. Now, with just one casual flap of my wings, I could slice off an entire mountain. But compared to that, my mental growth had completely stopped. Still, I guess that made sense. After all, ancestral dragons can easily live hundreds of thousands, even millions of years. And whenever I thought about living like this for that long, I honestly wanted to slam my head into a wall. Finally, one day I tried talking to an ancestral dragon thousands of years older than me. Sister Galusha, I want to ask you something. Go ahead, what is it? If a dragon breaks the 4 iron laws, what terrifying thing actually happens? The moment I finished speaking, her tail, which had been swaying lazily, suddenly stopped. Her eyes slowly opened too. I could clearly feel her sleepiness slowly fading away. I thought she was about to scold me, but instead, she gave me an answer I never expected. Nothing happens. They'll just call you a fallen dragon. She then explained that fallen dragon was just a title. You wouldn't be expelled or attacked by the ancestral dragons, nor would you receive any punishment. Other ancestral dragons might not even bother yelling at you, because everyone finds it too much trouble. So basically no one cares. No one bothers with stuff like that. After all, everyone is lazy. I never expected that those so-called iron laws were really just guidelines they hoped everyone would follow. Ever since I was born, I'd been too scared of those laws to do anything at all. But if no one was going to stop me now, then it was time to go all out. And I immediately remembered. There was a forbidden area south of Dragon Island. I'd always been curious about what was inside. Soon I arrived at the forbidden area. At first glance, I saw an unusual cave below. On the stone outside the entrance, 8 bold words were carved: Mine Treasury, no entry. So this so-called forbidden area was actually a treasure vault. I looked around. No guards, no barrier, no presence watching over the place. Nothing at all. It only said no entry. There were actually no security measures at all. I had to admit, this was very ancestral dragon style. As I walked into the cave, I was surprised to find it was wider than I expected. The ceiling was embedded with countless magic-rich ores. Below them were endless piles of gold, silver, and treasure. But I barely looked at any of it, because up ahead stood rows and rows of bookshelves. After 15 years, I finally saw books again. That faint, lingering scent of ink hit me with so much nostalgia. I casually took a magic guidebook off the shelf. With my past life knowledge, combined with an ancestral dragon's magic perception, it didn't take long for me to finish reading this basic magic theory book. After finishing it, my first reaction was regret. Books filled with human wisdom were actually sitting here collecting dust. What a complete waste. Those lazy dragons couldn't understand the joy of learning at all. Ancestral dragons had never bothered using magic to cast skills, because a casual strike from their bodies alone could rival large-scale magic. So, there was no need to study how to use magic. Later, I noticed a book in the corner of the shelf. Its title was Transformation Magic. By reorganizing your own magic, you could change into different forms. In that instant, a wild idea suddenly formed in my mind. If I used this, did that mean I could turn into a human and go to the human world, leaving this quiet, boring Dragon Island behind? The more I thought about it, the more excited I got. So I immediately started reading. But strangely enough, in my past life, I couldn't focus at a desk for even 10 minutes. But now I could read several books in one sitting. No matter how much knowledge I crammed in, my brain never felt tired. I couldn't help thinking, ancestral dragons really are perfect life forms. After finishing several basic magic books in a row, I discovered that besides controlling magic, to change my appearance, I could also suppress the release of magic. If I appeared in the human world as I was now, even if I transformed into a human, the magic around me would still leak out unconsciously. People with sharp perception would instantly notice that I was different. But as long as I learned to suppress my magic, then I'd be no different from an ordinary human. At that point, I immediately started experimenting. According to the book, the essence of transformation magic was magic arrangement and mass control. After reading deeper, I realized the principle was actually simple. In plain terms, it meant reconstructing your own magic into a different shape. And that magic structure depended entirely on the caster's imagination. So as long as I pictured my ideal self in my mind and applied my magic to it, I could become that form. At first, I planned to imagine myself as I looked in my past life, but too much time had passed. I could barely remember my old face, only the rough outline. In the end, I used my original face as the base, then added a tall nose, deep-set eyes, and smooth flowing hair to create the look of an anime-style otherworld hero. If I was going to turn human, of course I had to become handsome. That's just human nature, right? As the transformation magic activated, my whole body began turning into particles of light, slowly disappearing. The next second, the image of a standard otherworld hero appeared. In my 16th year after reincarnating, I became human again. Though my true body was still a dragon, I could finally go to the human world. But it wasn't time yet, because I still needed to learn more about the outside world. After that, I stayed in the Mind Treasury for over 10 years and finished reading 10,000 books. Every time I gained more knowledge, my longing for the outside world grew stronger. But even after reading over 10,000 books, I had read less than 1/10 of them. To finish every book in the treasury, I'd need at least another 100 years. But I couldn't wait anymore. I'd come back and read them later. But before leaving, there was one thing I still had to do. Sister Gulusha. This older dragon lady was my only friend on Dragon Island. Although we'd barely talked a few times, I still had to say goodbye before leaving. But the moment she saw me, she spoke first and said that judging from my outfit, I must be ready to go traveling. But she also wondered why I hadn't finished reading the books in the Mind Treasury yet. I was surprised when I heard that. Sister Galusha, if you knew, I was in the Mind Treasury all along. Why didn't you stop me? Hearing that, Galusha calmly replied, because it's a hassle. If you think the outside world is interesting, then it's not bad to go see it. After hearing that answer, I was speechless for a moment. For the past few decades, she was the only one I could actually talk to normally, even though her answers were always careless and half-hearted. If she hadn't been there, I might have been swallowed by loneliness long ago. Thank you, Sister Galusha. After hearing that, Sister Galusha didn't say anything else. She closed her eyes and went right back to sleep. But after sensing that I had left, she used the dragon race's special telepathy and said one thing, "Silly kid, be careful out there. If it's you, then no matter where you go, you'll be just fine." Those words deeply moved my heart. I never thought someone here would actually believe in me. At that moment, my new life officially began. Believe in yourself. Life from now on is going to be exciting. According to the books, the nearest place with human activity was still quite far away. At my flying speed, it would take at least 2.5 months. It was a bit long, but for an ancestral dragon, with a near infinite lifespan, that was nothing. Soon, several months passed in the blink of an eye. I could faintly see man-made buildings ahead. To avoid causing a commotion, as I was about to reach the human town, I directly activated transformation magic, but I forgot I was still in the sky. As a human, I couldn't fly, so I went straight crashing toward the ground. Just like that, I slammed hard into the ground from above. The ground cracked. Dust flew everywhere. The shockwave instantly disturbed the air around the scene. I awkwardly stood up and dusted off my clothes, acting like nothing had happened. I thought, no one would see that embarrassing landing. But not only were there people here, I had landed perfectly, right in the middle of them. In front of me was a blonde girl, and behind me was a demonic dragon. The situation was painfully awkward. Are you too busy? Did I maybe interrupt something? Clearly, the girl in front of me was terrified. She was in no mood to answer me. But I had to admit, this girl was really cute. I hadn't seen a human girl in about half a century. Even if I factored in a little bit of rose-colored bias, her face and figure were way too perfect to keep this unfamiliar pretty girl from mistaking me for a bad guy. I immediately tried to act friendly. Hey, don't be scared. I'm not a bad guy, okay? The moment I finished speaking, the girl suddenly drew her sword and pointed it forward with a guarded look. At first, I thought my identity had been exposed, but then I thought about it. No way. Then I turned back to look where her sword was pointing. Oh, I get it. No wonder she was so nervous. A huge demonic dragon giving off that evil aura would scare any normal human. But was this kid a fallen dragon like me? Judging by his look, probably not an ancestral dragon. After all, his magic level was way too low. It probably wasn't even 1% of mine. But what was weird was why this kid kept glaring at me so viciously. Did he think I was his prey? Come on! Our ancestors have some connection, right? Why keep looking at me like that? But then it suddenly hit me. Not only had I turned into a human, I had also suppressed all my magic flow. Right now, in everyone else's eyes, I was just an ordinary human. Looks like he completely misunderstood. I was just about to explain, but he had already taken a fighting stance. He could attack at any moment. I glanced back at the blonde beauty. No matter what, I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of a girl, but I also didn't want to expose my power here. So I chose the best of both worlds. Easy now, sorry I scared you. This must be your territory, right? We'll leave right now, okay? To this little demonic dragon,